totally affects her life. Like, that's like a huge fear of mine because I know what that's like. Hey guys, it's Juliana. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about the fears that I personally have as a parent, as a mom. And it's in collaboration with two other moms here on YouTube. The first being Sierra. Her channel is S&M Motherhood, and it's all about her and her little boy Maverick, who's a few months younger than Izzy. And he's so adorable, so make sure you go check them out. The second mom, her name is Harmony, and her channel is Life with Elijah. And it's all about her and her son Elijah. And he's about, I think he's about the same age as Izzy. I'll have their videos and Instagrams and stuff linked all in the description bar. So make sure you go check them out, subscribe, follow them on Instagram, and, you know, let them know that I sent you there. But without any more rambling, let's get into all my fears as a parent. So the first fear that I have is her drowning. It's honestly, I've had such a huge fear of water my whole life. So I think it just kind of passed on to her. Like, when we go over bridges in a car, like, I get so much anxiety just thinking that whoever's driving is gonna, like, drive off the bridge into the water. And, like, I'm not gonna be able to get out. I'm not gonna be able to get her out. And it is, like, such a deep, deep fear of mine that she is going to drown. So, like, it's really high up on the list. The second fear that I have is her choking to death. When she was 6 months old, oh gosh, this is like actually really hard for me to talk about, but when she was 6 months old, it was kind of when like this whole coronavirus stuff started happening, and she was eating something and she choked on it. Like, I was home alone. It was just me and her. I guess it's not that I froze, but everything just like is a blur because I just remember her like coughing, trying to cough it up, and she's like and then all of a sudden she just like stops coughing and she just looks at me with this look like she can't cough because she can't breathe. And I had to, if you know infant choking, I had to flip her on her like forward and pound her back, and nothing happened, so I had to turn her over and pound her chest. And by this time she was like kind of purple, and I had to turn her back over, and the pound on her back actually dislodged the food that she was choking on. And it was very traumatic. Even her like little gags now like trigger me so hard because I'm just so scared that she's gonna choke. And like, if I didn't know what to do and do it like correctly, and like I don't even know how to explain it, but like she would not have made it if I didn't do something. And so yeah, it's like honestly hard for me to even talk about because like she was not breathing. The next fear that I have is like a little less like scary than the last two of her like drowning and choking, but it's her not knowing that I love her. I have a deep fear that she's not gonna know that I love her. And then the next fear that I have is like very related to the last fear of her not knowing that I love her. The fear is that I'm gonna say something that is so damaging to her that like it totally affects her life. And like, that's like a huge fear of mine. Like, I get that I'm not always gonna say the right thing, and I get that I might not handle situations in such a way that like is great. Like, you know, I'm learning too as I'm raising her, but I have a very deep fear of saying something that damages her because I know what that's like. And it's just like really hard for me to talk about, so we're gonna move on to the next one. So the next fear that I have is that she's going to get assaulted in some way, whether that be sexually, physically, mentally, any form of assault is really, it's just another one. Like, this whole video is so hard for me to talk about, and it gives me so much anxiety just to even film like these words because, like, obviously there's a reason you have a fear for something, and speaking from my childhood and from my experiences, I would never want that for her, because it changes who you are as a person, which isn't a bad thing that it changes you, but it's just a bad thing that I cannot even get into it. Okay, the next one is a little irrational, but I come up with these scenarios in my head about like one time we were at a Winco parking lot, and I had her in my arms, and I got in the truck and shut the truck door. And like, in that moment I was like, oh my gosh, what if her fingers were in the door? What if I crushed her fingers shutting the door? And so now, like, that was like months ago, and like, remember, I did not crush her fingers. I wasn't even close to crushing her fingers, but now I have such a deep fear that I'm gonna crush her fingers in a car door. Like, but that's not like the only time. Like, one time I was getting something, I wasn't even getting the thing out of the oven. I was just walking in the kitchen holding her, and I was like, oh my goodness, what if I like dropped her? So now I have a deep fear of her like getting dropped in the oven, and like they just like keep stacking on and on and on as the older she gets. So like, that's fun. Postpartum OCD, you know. But yeah, so it's really hard, like, when things, it's not even close to something that could happen, but then I'm like paranoid about it because it like could have happened. And then the next one, I feel like a lot of people can relate. I don't know. I'm honestly scared she's gonna get the coronavirus. So like, there's that. And then the next fear that I have is that she's gonna be bullied in school. And I guess the standpoint, like, the way I look at it is, I feel like I was bullied a lot, and like, not that your kids become you, but I feel like in most situations, like, the popular bratty kids are gonna have popular bratty kids and raise them to be like mean and stuff. Like, if you are mean to people, like, your children pick up on that, and so if you're mean, like, they're gonna develop those behaviors also. And there's this picture going around. It was this picture, and it said, I'm gonna teach my babies to love your babies, period. And the thing about that is, like, yeah, that would be great if everyone was doing that, but clearly they're not. And it's just sad to me that, like, bullying still exists, and people being so cruel to another person to the point where they want to take their own life still exists. So it's really hard to think that she might, hey, you can't eat that. I guess it's more of a fear that she's gonna get bullied out of being who she really is, and bullied out of being her sweet, loving self, than it is a fear of her like being bullied in general. The next fear that I have is that she's going to be kidnapped, and like, that's all I can really say about it, because like, it scares me and gives me anxiety. The next fear that I have comes up quite often, but it's like the fear that people are gonna like touch her in the store, or like, yeah, she's a person too, and it's not like she's consenting for them to touch you. Like, would you just go up to someone and be like, oh, you're just so cute? Like, can you imagine going up to a grown woman and saying that? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, this one time we were in the store and I was holding her, and this lady commented about how adorable she was. I was like, oh, thank you. And we just kept on walking, and she kind of like tried to like come towards us. And then we kept on shopping, and we saw her again in the store, and she comes and starts walking towards us. She's like, oh, I'm gonna snatch that baby, and like charges towards us to come and touch her. And I was like with my sister, and I like hid me and Izzy behind her, because it's like, no, like, you don't have the right to talk to my child. Like, I hate when people look at her and like, oh, how are you? What's your name? Like, she's not gonna tell you, and I'm not gonna tell you either. And I hate when people are like, try to touch her. Like, oh, like I had this one time, I was in Walmart and the cashier asked if she could hold her. I was like, do you not have common sense? Are you not a mom? Or are you just okay with people touching your child? Sorry, that really gets me. I just don't know why people would touch other people's kids. I just don't know why people would talk to other people's kids. And then, so there's about 3 more, and one of them is, I'm scared that I'm scared I'm not gonna be able to, I guess it's not that I'm not gonna be able to teach her, because I feel like I can teach her how to appreciate her uniqueness and be a unique person, but I'm scared that other people are gonna take that away from her. And I'm scared people are gonna take her personality away from her. They're gonna be so mean that she has to change who she is, and that just is not fair to anyone. I got 2 more! She's gonna join us for one of the last 2, which is her getting an eating disorder. So again, this one stems from personal experience and from someone telling me something that damaged me emotionally, and I just don't think anyone should ever have to go through that. And I don't want her to have to go through that, because I know that pain, I know that suffering, and I know that not self-acceptance maybe. So yeah, I really don't want her to have an eating disorder. The last fear that I have is that I won't be able to give her the best life that like she deserves, because I am a single mom and I did lose my job to being pregnant, and even though I know there's like a future, like that's all I can see right now. All I can see is I don't have a job, I'm living with my mom, how am I gonna do this? And so I know there's a future beyond that, but I'm stuck. My head is stuck in that mind space. So I'm working really hard to get out of that, so that that's not one of my fears. But if you liked this video, go ahead and give it a like. Comment down below what your fears are. Actually, don't comment down below what your fears are, because then I will have those fears too. Instead of commenting down below your fears as a parent, because I don't want those fears to be my fears also, comment what kind of videos you guys want to see from me. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.